It is crazy the kind of thoughts that people have about money. And one of the most common thoughts is if you don't have it, it's like there's something evil about it. It's like the most misquoted Bible verse out there. It's like
Yeah.
the love of money. It's
Right.
not money. If that was the case, we would have a problem here at Better Wealth. This is Better Wealth with Caleb Williams. Brother,
What's going on?
welcome to the Better Wealth family.
Bro, I appreciate you.
Oh my goodness, I've been waiting for this episode for a while. Dude, I feel like our story is going to be crazy because we freaking were friends pre me at the bank.
Yeah.
Or no, let me take that back. I was at the bank, but before I started Better Wealth, you were an OG client.
Before you took over the investment department.
Right.
I think so, yeah.
You're totally right. And I was the one that was like, dude, you're going to come into the financial service business. You have an amazing personality. You love people. And so with that, man, it is a dream come true. I can mark it off my bucket list. It's going to be a fun journey.
I appreciate you, man. And I told you this before, and I remember when you said, bro, you're going to be a part of the, financial services business. You're right. Okay. And then the Lord works in mysterious ways, man. The God is good. And look at us now.
Right. It's crazy, man. Demetrius is here in Denver, Colorado. You're obviously going to share your story and all that good stuff. But what was really cool is I was in the back yesterday as you guys were all kind of planning out. I mean, we do orientation kind of weird around here. It's like, you're in. I think they were joking around, but low key they weren't. They're like, all right, you ready to do your first call tomorrow? You're like, what? But anyways, I was in the background and I was seeing like Jeremy and Dom was here and you were here and Aaron and Dan, and we were just all strategizing, and it was so surreal because I'm like, man, like this is so amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing that there are multiple people that are so gifted, that care so deeply, that are here trying to figure out the best way to serve people. And so I told you this, no intention, like there's no intention to like try to get you to be on the team. It just happened. And I think that's what relationships, like good relationships, that's just how they pan out. So with that, man, I kind of gave you a very interesting intro. I want you to introduce yourself to the BetterWealth family. And as you know, like I want to go deep into your story because I think there is a theme, and I think people will be able to see your heart, and people will be able to tell really quickly why you're going to be such a good fit here. And I'm telling you, this is not going to be the last time you see this face on not only a podcast, but we're going to be creating a lot of content. And dude, your message is going to impact so many people. So with that, it's all you.
Well, hey, like you all heard, my name is Demetrius Walker, born and raised in Wisconsin. So Caleb and I met in college, actually,
Yep.
right?
This is a fact. Yes, I did go to college, by the way. For all you guys that were wondering,
went to the same college. Obviously that's where we met and things. But anyways, when I graduated from college, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do in college. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do while I was in college. But when I got finished with college, I worked in higher education. I did that for about 3 years. I was recruiting. I was traveling all over the place to get people to come to the university that we went to, which was a fun gig.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I was like, man, I don't necessarily see myself moving up the ladder of higher education. I believe it's a necessary thing. I believe that those jobs should be filled. But I believe that I wasn't the person to do that. Right. And then during my time in that role, I started to take money very seriously. I wanted to learn how it worked. I met with this guy, right, to understand how it works. Asked him a lot of questions, some of which probably dumb.
Yeah. Well, man, I think it was cringy moments for both of us. Like, in all honesty, let's just say we both learned a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, this was when I first started at the bank, and I let's just say by God's grace, we're here.
I'm telling you, man, that's the only way you can explain it. But during my time at the university, I convinced maybe like 4 or 5 of the people within our office, you got to download this budgeting app. You got to understand how your money works, and you got to start putting money away, saving it, investing it, blah blah blah. And I mean, and it was pretty cool. And I'm like, I should probably go into this. And I started to think about, is Caleb going to be right? Like, am I actually going to go into financial services? And, cool opportunities came about, entered into the financial services industry. And what I tell every single one of my clients is just two things. It's so simple, right? At first off, I believe within the world of financial services, it's like so confusing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's meant to be that way though.
Right. And I think we should be simplifying things.
Yeah.
Right. Someone once told me, I don't know if it was you, someone else, but like the best evidence of your expertise is an ability to simplify.
Yeah. It's
good. Right. And so I tell my clients two things every single time. It's like clarity and control. Clarity and control.
Yeah.
What we talk about constantly.
Yeah.
Because I believe if you have control of your money today, right, in the form of budgeting, protection, and you continue that throughout the rest of your life, that's probably going to be the only way that you're going to have any sort of clarity or direction for the future. And if you have clarity, you have confidence.
Yeah.
So that, I mean,
it's good.
We didn't dive super deep into my story, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just so passionate about this stuff. Like, I just want people to understand it and to take the complexities off of it, because it doesn't have to be so complicated.
And not to get super into depth in this, but you were working as a financial advisor for another firm.
Yeah.
And you just decided to make the switch. How did that work? Because I actually had nothing to do with that.
Right.
It was actually a surprise to me, believe it or not. I was like, oh wow. Like, but like, talk to me about how that went down, because you went from the university, a secure gig, people, one of the most well-loved people at the university.
I mean, about all that, man.
My smile is not as impressive, and that's what everyone thinks. I have an amazing smile, not compared to yours. Then you go into the financial service business and you crush it.
I did pretty well.
Like, we're talking, like leaderboard well, okay? And so doing super well. Tell me about that journey, what you learned, what was some of the things that you thought to be true that turned out not to be in this journey, and then why BetterWealth? How did you end up here?
Right. One of the things that I learned in just kind of being in financial services, working with people face to face, is that like people aren't really clear about where they're going.
Yeah.
Right. They don't start with the end in mind, and that's not like a shot at any one person or any people, period. Right. But I just learned, it's like, man, why aren't these things taught within our school system? I know another member of our team, he made a video on that recently. But anyways, just the basic education just wasn't there. That's one of the main things that I learned, is that the basic education just wasn't there. So I had a lot of fun having conversations with people and just teaching them those types of things. And then to answer the question about like, how did I ended up here? How am I at BetterWealth right now? It all started like I had a question that I wanted to ask Right Hand Dan about I think it had something to do with marketing or just like language.
And you guys knew each other at the university.
Yeah.
So those of you that know Dan, before him and I started BetterWealth, he was running he was working at the same university, and he was like the go-to guy for all technology systems. So you guys knew of each other.
Yep.
And we knew each other really well in college, because we were both in crew, and we just hung out. So it's just cool how we were all connected. So you reached out to Right Hand Dan for some questions.
I just had some questions, and he jokingly said something about like, I forgot exactly what his phrase was, but essentially jokingly asking if I would consider BetterWealth. And I'm like, well, let's talk. And at first I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm doing fine at this company. Like, why would I go over to BetterWealth? But then as I started to spend more time with you guys, like everything from like my wife and I, we just came out to Colorado, a month ago, just to be with her friends and, be with you guys for a day and a half. And I'm like, just being with you guys. And from a business standpoint, the why is incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
Right. The why that you do business, the why that we work with people. It's like, we're not all about numbers here.
Yep.
Right. Obviously numbers are important.
Yep.
Right. But we're not all about numbers. And that was very evident in just conversations that we had, very evident in the way that we run our business, very evident in the fact that you care about people first. So, I mean, I could go on and on. So it just all made sense.
Right.
It all made sense.
Right. So what was really, really neat just about you and your wife spending some time is you got to see everything.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless her. She's the real winner right
My
here.
wife is amazing.
And so one of the things was it was very, very important to me. And I've done this when Trevor was coming on board. This was, I don't know, 3+ years ago. I did this with Jeremy, less with Dom, just with his situation. Like he made a lot of the decisions, but like everyone that's come in to our team, I've seen it as like your spouse has to be on the same page. And I'm at the point where I will not have someone come on to the team if there's not peace. And you remember how many times I was like, dude, I'm praying for you, but I'm also like, I want this to feel absolutely right. Because, dude, you took a step backwards, a significant step backwards in full transparency to be on our team, to build what we're building because I mean, you've known me, you've known that I, even in college, I was talking about this vision and then being able to meet other people on the team. It was like, oh my goodness, there's one thing that I'm super proud of. It's the people that I surround myself with here at BetterWealth. So walk me through like that journey because, was Hannah, was she like, oh my goodness, like absolutely not. Like, was that like out of left field or did she kind of sense it or
no?
What?
It wasn't out of left field at all. My wife and I are pretty open in communication about these types of things. And, I'm not going to say we sit down and have this formal conversation every time we're making a big decision, but we bring it up in conversation as, as time progresses. And it's like, hey, babe, can we just pause this movie and pray?
Yeah.
Can we just pray right now?
Yeah.
Not just necessarily for us, but for other people as well. But I think it had a lot to do with the Lord just showing clarity to both myself and her. And my wife wanted to know like what our logistics are gonna look like and like all these types of things. And I'm like, well, let's just give her what she wants in terms of answers, and then let's break it down from there.
It's good.
So
it's good. All right. So what I want to do is I want to go deeper into your story.
Yeah, man.
Because I think a lot of your why is in your upbringing. And then what I want to talk about is a little bit of what would be a win for you in this next year. I mean, I know that we've talked a little bit about building a brand, and I know that you have a heart to serve a lot of people that, I'll just say this, that are very underserved right now. Yeah. And when I think about impact, when I think about intentional living, I know that I can speak to a certain group of people. But if I could do anything, if I could give people platforms and give people like you a megaphone, all I got to do is get out of your way. So with that, talk to me a little bit about your upbringing. Was money a thing? Like, because when we met, you didn't know a ton about money, but you were very hungry.
Yeah.
And now do I look to where you are now, like being a leader, being a top guy in your industry? I mean, props to you. And I want to know what the secret sauce is.
I don't know if there is any secret sauce, man. What you say, consistency, man. But anyways, let's see my upbringing. So, man, how do I even start that? So it was, I would say it like this. My mom and dad worked together like, up until the year of 2000. And in 2000, I'm only 6 years old, right? And so I had a very not normal childhood. It was very normal to me. It was fine. But compared to every, most other people or whatever, didn't have the most normal childhood. But anyways, my mom was working at a major car manufacturer. My dad worked at the place who made the seats for those trucks, right? And so monetarily, we were doing well up until 2008.
Yeah.
Right. 2008 comes around. It's like, shoot, like what are we gonna do? Like my dad, he hadn't yet he didn't even get his high school diploma in the 80s like he was supposed to.
Wow.
But I think one of the things that he did that was so powerful in my life, just like watching him just work as hard as he could. He worked full time or going to school full time to get his GED, then get his associate's degree, and then he got his bachelor's a year before I got mine. Right. And now he's making one heck of an impact in the county that I'm from.
That's awesome.
Right. As a social worker. But anyways, growing up, like, man, we went from like when my parents split up, it was we wake up at my dad's house at 4 a.m. He drive us over to my mom's house. Then we go back to sleep for another hour or two, get up, have some breakfast, go to school. Mom picks us up. We go back to her house. Then my dad picks us up and we started all over again.
every
right?
day.
So every single day until we got maybe in our teenage years, and
Yeah.
then we started to week at my mom's, week at my dad's, and stuff like that. But we didn't talk about money a whole lot. All I knew is that my parents wanted to provide. I know that my mom's very generous,
Yeah.
right? She has a very giving heart, and my dad really wants to make an impact. And so I think those are the two ways that they've influenced me in a big way. Just kind of seeing how they operate.
So a lot of I'm fascinated how people thought of money growing up. Did you see it as a tool? Did you see it as a necessary evil? Did you even think about it?
Um, I thought about it in terms of like I want more,
Yeah, of
but
course.
I
Yeah.
didn't know how to do that,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I think it was more so a source of stress, or if you have a lot, then it's like you're evil somehow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No,
I don't know how to really
man,
describe
I'm
it.
telling you, it is crazy the kind of thoughts that people have about money. And one of the most common thoughts is if you don't have it, there's something evil about it. It's like the most misquoted Bible verse out there. It's like the
Yeah,
love of money. It's
right.
not money. If that was the case, we would have a problem here at Better Wealth. So overall, okay, so why did you go to college? What were you thinking about? What was your major? What was your goal when you
Yeah,
entered college?
I went to college because everyone else was.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted the experience because my dad was very intentional about making sure we go to church.
Yeah. That's
Right.
good.
Praise the Lord
Yeah.
for that. And I would say that when I was going through that, I was just going,
Yeah.
just to going through the motions. So I got to college, and I'm like, I wanted to experience college,
Yeah.
right? I wanted to do the things that I know I should not have been doing as
Yeah.
an 18-year-old. And then, but what I majored in, that, by the way, that was all over probably by the end of my freshman year.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not me. This is not who the Lord called me to be.
Yeah.
But my major initially was, I don't know if you know this, it was just healthcare administration.
I didn't.
It was a health science.
Did you
Yeah,
graduate with a communications major?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what I
And
thought. I
and
was like,
and by the way, it's communication, not communications.
okay, there you go.
Right.
Thank you.
Interpersonal and organizational communication is what I got my degree in, and I will minor in business. So.
And what was your thought as you were going to college? Just like, okay, I'm going to get a communication with a minor in business.
Right, right.
What was your dream at that time?
Oh man, I thought I was just gonna. So eventually, as I was working in the admissions office, I was a tour guide, best tour guide ever. I'm just kidding. I was a tour guide. I was helping to really build out this really neat multicultural leadership camp or conference that we had in the admissions office. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go into higher education, and I'm going to go ahead and get my master's degree. I'm going
Yeah.
to go ahead and get my PhD, and maybe I'll be a dean of students, maybe vice chancellor or something like that at a university. And I'm just doing that because that's all I knew.
Yep.
And I'm like, like I said earlier, I didn't see that for myself.
Yeah.
Very powerful career, cool career. Not for me though.
Now I want to walk your money journey, and at that same time as you're nearing graduation, I remember us meeting in college. You were definitely the cool kid that I wanted to be friends with. We were very involved in a campus ministry called Crew, and you were an MC.
That was fun.
Every week.
That was fun, man.
Mr. Communications up here comes up and speaks and Crew. I mean, we had quite a few people that were part of that club. So you were by far pretty well known.
I was the face of the
Yeah.
of the university, kind of in the face of Crew. It was fun.
Yeah, it was blast. I enjoyed being a part of that as well. And so what ended up happening was we just became friends. I remember one of the first conversations that we had was actually at a camp. You remember that?
Yeah.
We were in the dining hall.
And I don't remember that then.
And then I'm like talking to you, and again, I think the thing that I've learned the most is to talk less. I would say I was way more into myself early on in my career, and I was just very, very excited. And so I think I just like shared my excitement, and I think just through my passion and excitement, you got excited, but you didn't really know what you were excited about. You're like, wow,
right.
And so that kind of sparked it, and then we just throughout time became better friends. I saw you fall in love with your now wife, and that happened. So along those lines, anything that you've learned obviously about money, and then I want to talk about this last year because You're not top in your region on accident. Like there was something that you did very, very powerfully. And I want you to talk about that as well. But talk to me about your money journey up until this point and some of the biggest things that you learned about yourself.
Man, that's a good question. We should, just to let you all know, there's no prefacing of anything with these questions. I'm like, man, money journey for me from then until now, then being college.
You answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, so sure, college.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think in its simplest form, it went for me not knowing how it works, not knowing how it grows, not knowing where I should put it, to understanding where that should be.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing that I learned, and I feel like this is a downfall of a lot of people in our country, is we want to put the tiniest amount of money and hope to God for the biggest rate of return.
It's the lottery mentality.
Right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I've learned that it's not about like, I hope it can grow for me long term, which, we all want that, but it's like, it's about volume of money.
Yeah.
Right. And having that grow. Who cares about where it is at, when you have that money, but just like, I don't know.
I think for me, it was understanding that money is a tool rather than the goal itself.
Right.
I'm telling you, if you get that, if you understand that money is a tool to help you accomplish what you actually want, you're going to totally think about investing different. You're going to totally think about even money itself different.
Right. And people need to also understand just the time value of money, like, and just how much what it can do for you throughout your life. Right. And so as it relates to, me being a leader in the region and stuff like that, I think it all boiled down to listening well and being empathetic.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I say empathetic, I want to be clear on the fact that I'm not talking about sympathy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, so sad that your dog died. I mean, that has its rightful place, right?
Yes.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about really just repeating back to what someone just said to you.
Yeah.
Like making sure that you have clarity on what they just said.
Yeah.
And making sure you have clarity on where they want to go.
Yeah.
Right. Understanding and diagnosing where they're at. Yeah. Right. What can you do to help?
Yeah.
And not be strictly numbers.
Yeah.
I think this business clearly is a big part of it is numbers, but man, I think it's way more. I think it's like 10% of it.
Yeah.
90% is not numbers at all.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like you can get all the numbers right. And if let me take a step back. You could be an amazing, super smart financial advisor and know everything, all the right strategies. But if you can't sit across the table or across the Zoom meeting and be able to articulate what you're hearing that those clients really want, you're not going to be effective.
Right.
You'll have the best strategy that will have zero buy-in.
Right. You got to know how to have a conversation.
Right. Do you remember when we first talked and I asked you, like, who do you really want to serve? Do you remember your answer? Because it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, man. So when I think of how large my family is on mom's side and dad's side, whether in my hometown or my dad's hometown, it's like I want to be able to help the Black community in some form or fashion with the education and implementation of financial principles.
Yep.
And I want to do so in a way that isn't like, let me share everything that I know. Like, let me share with you what I believe is going to be impactful for you in your life, and that you can share with your kids and that they can share with their kids, and helping them to understand how to create a legacy. Because one of the biggest things that I've learned as I've met with people of color throughout my time in financial services is like, we have a huge heart to want to like leave a legacy of some sort.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to be able to help in that.
When you look at the Black community, what is one of the big things that is like reflecting back to you that saying like, hey, this needs to be eliminated? Because I agree with you. I mean, it's like there is a huge segment of our country that's being underserved. And what fires me up is, again, man, you have a platform and you will be way more well received than people like myself. It's just being self-aware.
Yeah.
It's being empathetic to how can we best serve different people around the country. Yep. What is that one thing that if you had a megaphone at this point and saying like, if you could change one thing, is there a common theme that you're seeing?
Mentality around money, and when I have it, I want to spend it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not speaking for the entire Black community per se, just what I've seen.
Right.
right? Just what I've seen. And so I think if there's a mindset shift, paradigm shift, if you will, as it relates to, man, just putting money in its rightful place for a long-term growth and perpetuity, I think that there's a lot of doors that can be opened in the Black community.
And I'll just repeat what you said is clarity and control.
Yeah.
Clarity and control. If
100%.
you can have absolute clarity on where you want to go, and then understand how to take control and take back control of your wealth. Talk to me about what control means to you. Because control looks a little bit different for each person. I like to talk about control as like the ninth wonder of the world, where it's like you are having access to your money and being able to use your money, and for it not to be taken away from an entity like the government. Sure. How do you, when you articulate control, how do you articulate it?
Very simply. I think I might have mentioned it earlier, but I say it so often that I don't, who knows. But when I talk about control, I'm talking about budgeting your money, having a cash flow system. It doesn't matter to me if it's on an app, if it's on an Excel, if it's on pen and paper. It doesn't really matter to me. But just that you have that cash flow system. And the key there is the system. And what I mean by that is you're tracking it throughout the month, right? Because some people are like, I'm going to spend no more than, call it $500 on groceries. And then it's like, how much did you spend? It's, November 17th, November 18th. I don't know, about 400. And like, really, they spent 650, And so tracking your money is incredibly important to me.
When you track your money, you control it, and it's just a fact. I mean, 100%. It's like you just become way more aware. And there is something actually to when Dave Ramsey says don't use credit cards. The one thing I'll give to him is it's easier to spend money on a plastic card.
It is.
And so tracking definitely is key as it relates to that. Don't. I called you dumb. I knew I was gonna do that. The thing that we said early on, like I struggle with.
Called him me earlier.
Yeah, it's not good. Now you got me. I lost my train of thought here.
My apologies, sir.
So I had a question. What else is on your mind? while I collect my thoughts.
I will say to that tracking piece, that was incredibly powerful for my wife and I. When we got engaged. Because I think it was about a month before we got married. We got married July 2018. It was June 2018 where we're like, okay, let's merge the accounts, and that's just what we do. And I want to make sure that we know how much we have to spend. In whatever category that is. I don't want to be overspending. So that's one thing that was incredibly powerful.
One of the domains that we own is convertibleterm.com. I'm incredibly passionate about making sure that people are insured. And a lot of people, they'll read this book and they'll say, Caleb, I want an and asset, overfunded life insurance. And quite frankly, man, the more and more that we serve and talk to people, we realize that majority of the population, they're not at a good place to start an and asset today. What they should be doing is they should be creating a debt strategy. They should be insuring their family. They maybe should look into disability to make sure that they're insuring their income. And so one of the things that you're going to be heading up is figuring out how we get convertibleterm.com to be this company that streamlines the ability to get people insured, but then also focuses on tracking their money, on debt. Because how many people out there can actually save $10,000 a year? If you can't, you may be better off getting a special type of convertible term, talking to a coach like you, and actually maximizing efficiency instead of looking at some kind of product to be the silver bullet.
Right. Yeah, I think, people don't understand the value of their life. Like most people, I would say. Like human value. Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And there's a lot of calculations out there that you can do, but like especially for people who have a family, who have like a significant other, things like that, and they're young, right? And I think about the fact that if that person were to pass away, man, the impact that will have on their family in a not so good way. Like I would feel terrible not making sure, or at least having that conversation to see what they want as it relates to that type of protection. So
part of Better Wealth, we are very focused on helping people live more intentionally. And that looks like we're actually, ironically, I'm having some conversations with some people that are going to be helping us build a family office. These are like for the high net worth, special tax strategies, premium finance strategies, special investment strategies. So you have that. Then you have a lot of our, bread and butter right now are people that are entrepreneurs, investors, families that have money that we're helping them through efficiency. And Jeremy's incredible with that. Then we have people that just want the end asset, and we're willing to serve people in that way. And one of the things that you're going to help us is really be able to serve people that need to pay off debt, need to insure their family, may need to insure their income, may need a debt tracking or spending tracking. And it's like, I am very excited to build that out because there's a lot of people. Talk about the most underserved market, because most people don't want to serve these people because there's quote unquote not a lot of money in it. But I'm telling you, something funny happens when you put people first. And that's what our whole company's about.
Yep.
It's like, my whole bet is be super valuable to people. And I'm pretty sure the person that can create the most value will be taken care of in the long run.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly. That's good, man.
Anything else that you want to share? Anything else on your mind? Like, one of my other favorite questions is, now that you're here, you've spent, a little over a day with us, and you've have interacted personally with Jeremy and Dom and myself and Dan. Anything that like shocks you? Any surprises? You're like, wow, that's interesting.
Not necessarily. Y'all, everyone on this team, you all are incredibly talented, incredibly smart. Lots of things to learn. I'm sure. I don't think there's anything necessarily that shocked me though. I'm not.
You knew a lot coming in.
Right. Sorry, I'm not able to give that pack the punch like you want.
It's all good. All right. So last question. It's called the legacy question, and the legacy question essentially goes like this: this is your last day on Earth. You're with the people that you love the most. You can't give them anything tangible, but you can give them this last conversation. What are you going to make sure to communicate in that last conversation?
Yeah, so I feel like I want to answer that question in two separate ways. So for people, like, call it some of my family or whomever else that it is that I know really well and that I love a lot, who don't know Jesus yet, man, the message that I would share with them is, Jesus lived, he died. There's significance to that. He rose again. There's significance to that. Why? So that he can give you life, right? That's what, like, straight up just the gospel is what I would share with those who are not believers yet. Okay. For people that are believers, I'll say my mom, my dad, my sister, my wife, people like that. I would probably, as everyone grows in their career and they grow in their sets of knowledge and their specialized knowledge and whatnot, I would have them chew on the phrase of, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's so true. Like, even with recruiting, when I was in recruiting, like, people, like, the office that I was a part of, in my opinion, probably one of the best admissions offices in the country, because that entire office, everyone in there, they care about people. They care about people so much, right? As opposed to, here's what we have at our university, right?
Yeah.
Same thing in the financial services world. Same thing with health world, like my wife is in. Like, that's what I would say.
I acknowledge JG, who's like a second father to me, who ultimately gave me the platform at the bank, 19 years old. And he said that exact same phrase to me. He said, Caleb, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's because of that caring that's what drives us to really know a ton. Because it's no excuse not to be competent in the field that we're in. So, man, we're just getting started.
Yes, sir.
It's day 2.
Day 2, man.
And so I'm excited for what's to come. But I am beyond grateful to, as Jeremy would say, go into battle with you, but ultimately to look back on these days and say, wow, like, these were humble beginnings. I promise you, there's going to be times where you're going to get frustrated with us. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, no one's perfect, man.
But we truly do care, and I think what we're going to build is not just going to change the industry, but going to change a lot of people's lives for the better. And so, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
And stay tuned, everybody. Make sure to reach out. How can they reach out? Congratulate you.
Just send a quick email, Demetrius@betterwealth.com. And I'm assuming my name will be spelled properly on this video somewhere.
I hope so. It is BetterWealth, but I'm not in charge of the spelling. Also, if you're watching this, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it would be amazing if you subscribe to this channel. If you're a fan of this guy, he's going to be on our channel more than he is now. That's not a high bar to hit. Or if you're listening to this on my podcast, thank you. If you're listening to this on an Apple, scroll all the way down to the bottom. And if you could write a 5-star review, we're trying to get our reviews up, because the more reviews that we have on the show, the more people have access to just finding our show, which, helps us share the message. So again, thank you so much. It's been a true honor, Demetrius. It's going to be fun. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the BetterWealth podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.